Hi, church family. It's Rebekah Owens, and today on our podcast, we are doing part 3 of our Mission and Vision series. Today, I have brought my Discipleship Band here with me to join us in talking about growing. Now, as we have discussed in the past, our vision states that as God's people, we will unite with Him in transforming others into Spirit-filled disciples of Jesus Christ. And we achieve that by connecting, loving, growing, and serving. So today we're going to be talking about growing. We want to grow in our relationship with God through small groups and discipleship. And that's why I brought my Discipleship Band. If you don't know what a discipleship band is, I'm actually going to have Molly kind of give us a little definition and explanation of what a discipleship band is.
So the simplest definition of a discipleship band is basically a group of 3 to 5 individuals of the same gender who just meet together weekly to encourage each other, do life together, and support each other in their walk with Christ.
Yeah, and we are all part of a discipleship band, but we have experienced different ways that we have done band throughout the couple of years that we've been together. Do you guys have like any examples of how we've changed it around?
So we started off with we were very structured, so we had certain questions that we answered every single week, such as how is it with your soul, how are the Spirit and Scriptures speaking to you, what struggles and successes have you had this week, and for the first month or so, maybe 2 months, we were just answering those 3 questions. We gave ourselves a certain amount of time, and then we eventually moved into the deeper questions. So once we got to know each other more and we built up that trust and accountability, we eventually started answering the questions that are a little harder. So things like what, I don't know how they were worded exactly, but what have you been struggling with sin-wise? And then what was the other one? I'm blanking on the other one.
Secrets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what secrets have you been holding? Yeah. So does anyone want to speak on where we moved from there?
You're doing such a great job.
Yeah, so after we really got to know each other, we became super close. We ended up moving more towards like Bible study focus and just working together through our different perspectives and mindsets through studies and scripture and things of that nature. So that's kind of like a really easy basis of what it looks like to be in a discipleship band. But as we connect that to our mission and vision statement as a church, we'll remember previously we talked about the 4 main values of how we want to achieve the mission and vision statement, as well as how we just want to be viewed as a church family. And those 4 categories are being God-centered, people-focused, team-based, and truth-telling. Molly, do you want to go ahead and talk about how, as a band, we're God-centered?
Yeah, I think God-centered, simplest way is we just are focused on prayer and focused on encouraging each other in Scripture. But what's been really cool to me throughout the process of being in a band with you guys has been seeing the different ways that God has moved in each of our lives and just really getting to know like the different ways that each of you connect with God. We have conversations all the time about some of us like connect with God more through music, some of us connect with God more through silence or nature. So it's been really cool to not only grow closer to God myself, but to like see how God is working in your lives and to be able to just experience different characteristics of God through how He's moving in your lives.
Absolutely. I know that for me, it's just so encouraging to know you can have a group of friends in any scenario, whether that be school or work or wherever you may be in your daily life. But with a discipleship band, it's just so encouraging to know that all of my girls are God-centered people, and the advice given to me and the perspective shown, while they all may be different, it all is going to be God-centered and Scripture-centered, and we're trying to lead each other down that good like path of what our lives, what our wills or God's will for our life is. Anyone else have anything about how we're God-centered?
I think just connecting it to the church, like, it is our small group. There's obviously 5 of us. That's not a lot of people. But it's just like a small glimpse of all the ways that God is moving in the church. And there's obviously so many ways to connect with God that it's just cool to be a part of, like, how he's moving in other people's lives. Not just in, like, the 5 of our lives, but I think you can see that in, like, a bigger, on a bigger scale throughout the church.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Kind of expanding upon that, I feel like our band also allows us to see God up close, like through each other's lives. And I think that's a great, like, vision of community in a way that you might be able to do it more, like, closer in a small group than you might be able to do, like, in a church congregation. So I think it kind of goes hand in hand, and it's, like, such an amazing piece of our band.
I agree.
Absolutely. And what about being, like, people-focused? Do you have anything about that?
Yeah, I would say our band is very, like, relationship-based. We have really, like, grown to know each other on such a deep level throughout our years of being together. And also, like Abby mentioned, I think the questions were such a integral part of that, like guiding, kind of like probing to understand, like, more about each other's backgrounds and your, like, day-to-day struggles and successes. And I think also another piece of us being people-focused is that we're able to, since we're doing life together, we're able to see each other, whether it's a good or a bad thing, and able to see each other's skills and articulate things that we may not be able to see in ourselves.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else about being people-focused as a band?
Yeah. I think also, like, we all come from our own different circles. We all have different jobs. We all have different schools that we're coming from, and we all connect with maybe different groups of people, even within our own church. Like, we all serve in different areas within the church. And so I think being people-focused and getting to know each other, we also get to know each other's circles. And so that kind of expands, and we can start to expand our own circles, but also pray for those other circles and kind of expand out from there.
For sure.
I definitely agree with that, and I think it's so awesome, like, to see us together. I might raise up a prayer request, and instead of just me praying about it, I now have, like, 5 people all praying about the same topic, and it's also amazing. Like, I might be praying for someone I don't even know, but I know through the band, and It's also amazing to see those prayer requests, like, fulfilled a lot of times, and that's a side of a stranger's life that I might not have ever experienced without y'all.
Yeah.
I think this is a great segue if we're good to move on to being team-centered. And I think as a band, it's super beautiful to see how, well, first of all, God created us to be in a team. He created us to be in groups, not to be alone. And so it's just beautiful how our discipleship band is able to push each other, encourage each other, and really support each other in all walks of life, no matter where we are. I mean, we're all roughly around the same age, but we're all going through very different seasons of life. So it's really cool to be able to support each other in that and really encourage each other and see, like, what goals we have now. And then, like, 5 years from now, we'll still be together and be able to be like, wow, that really happened. God made that work. Or maybe it'll be like, oh, yeah, God did it differently than we really expected, but he still did it well, and it was his will. And I think that's cool that we're able to do that as a team and really encourage each other through it.
Absolutely. I also think it's just so important, all those things you just said, to practice those things in a small group setting, being a team with just 3 to 5 people, and that helps you become better at being team-based within your whole church. And that's why if your church is growing through discipleship, you're going to have a bunch of small, little, really strong teams, and then they'll come together to make a bigger team. And then eventually that's going to team up with the community, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. It's like that little pebble in the pond, and that's what a discipleship band kind of acts like sometimes, is we just start the good things small, and then they just grow and grow and grow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
think another aspect that we focus on in our mission, but also in our discipleship group, is truth-telling. And I think truth-telling can be intimidating at first and definitely scary. And it wasn't necessarily easy in a discipleship band. But I think because we have this focus on relationships first and truly understanding and getting to know each other, it definitely breaks down some of those barriers and allows us to be truth-telling with each other. And I think that truth that we tell also builds that high level of trust that makes it slightly easier each time to share with each other, be vulnerable, be honest. And I think a lot of times truth-telling, we can encourage each other in it by doing it ourselves. Like saying, oh, Georgia shared something today, and I could tell how vulnerable she was being. That makes me want to be vulnerable too. Or maybe I'm going through the same thing and we didn't even realize it. And so that level of trust, I think, comes from practicing and encouraging truth-telling within each other. And I think having that openness and just disclosure amongst each other is also a good model for a church as a whole.
I think that also is really important to note that, like with truth telling, it also leads into being accountable with each other, which is super important to be team based as well. But we're able to, like, if I have a goal for myself, it's really important for me to actually be honest with that and say, this is what's going on with me. And then everybody else can support me in that. And then every week when we meet, or even during the week at some point, we text each other, we check in with each other, and we say, hey, how'd that go? And it's just a really cool way to just be in community with each other.
Yeah, and I know it always makes it easier for me to tell my truth and be vulnerable when I come and meet with you guys, because I know that in this setting, the truth is going to be shared with grace as well, which is really encouraging and makes it a whole lot less scary. Does anyone else have anything about truth-telling? Well, there's so much more amazing and good, wonderful things that I could go on and on about when talking about a discipleship band and how important it is and how it has helped me in my personal life so much, which, as I said, I could go on and on. So if any of you do have a question about discipleship bands, or you want to start building your own discipleship band, you want some more insight or maybe even some materials that'll help you get started, come talk to me. And if I'm not available or you can't find me, talk to any of these girls here sitting on this couch. We are so passionate about discipleship and our band. You can also reach out to Val Holland or to Anna Merlo, both wonderful ladies in our church. They have a lot of information about not just discipleship bands, but also discipleship groups. So there's a lot of different varieties of how the discipleship is set up based on what you're needing in your life at that time. I just want to thank my girls for coming on and talking with me. It's such a joy to be with them, and it's such a joy to be with you all, and we hope that you are just ready to join within the church some type of discipleship group, and we will see you on our next episode next week. Bye, guys.